Hello to all you miniature painting aficionados on the internet, in general and YouTube in particular. I'm Aeon. It's Monday the 22nd of February 2016, and this is my update on everything I got done in the past week. It's going to be a lengthy one, because as I told you last week, I had a lot of free time to paint, and I got a lot done, beginning with the final portion, for now, of my Kingdom of Chaos project. I painted up this sort of odd-numbered unit of 11 Hexatrix Riders, as they're called, and I'm not that happy with them, honestly. This coming at the tail end of a really lengthy project that I've sort of gotten tired of. I just rushed through these and did the minimum possible to make them presentable. In particular, I'm not really happy about the horses. They're too simplistic. But whatever. I got them done. And as I've said before, any ideas about completing the units by adding to the numbers will have to wait a good long while. You know, there's lots of other stuff I consider more important than doing that. But that was my New Year's project. Down. I don't have any other big project to start right now. I've got to think about something for next week perhaps. But yeah, for now at least I'm happy to have this done. So let's move on to other sub-project areas. So, Vermelho, not a super productive week. Nothing at all done on the Mysterious Effigy, and on these gators and other swamp bases, just a bunch of base coats. Now, you might think these look a bit bright for alligators, to which I can only say two things. Number one, these are not Earth alligators, these are some sort of fantasy, otherworldly alligators. And number two, it's just a base coat. It's going to be dulled down by other coats of paint. Here's some bases with eggs on them. Why do I have eggs? Well, because the next model in line lays eggs. This is the spawn mother. Here we have the first rendition on the cover, and on the back there's actually a picture of the model itself. This is the mother of the Silurids. So she has a mechanic where she can lay eggs. You have to put out egg tokens. These can hatch during game into something called gups, which are infant Silurids. And then they can mature even further, all in one game, into adult Silurids. Now I have some Silurids, you've seen these before, don't have any gup models, because the metal models are all out of stock everywhere. But there are new plastic ones coming, I think in April or May, sometime before the middle of this year anyway. They were on the schedule. And also a new spawn mother model in plastic, but I'm kind of happy with this one. I actually think this one is a bit... I like this one better than the new render I've seen. Though the renders of the gups are really, really cute, so we have something positive to say at least. So I'm preparing by painting the spawn mother and some egg tokens, and I'll be getting the gups and painting them as soon as they are released. In the meantime, I'll keep working on these guys. So in regards to Frostgrave, I haven't actually completed any new minis fully this week. I've gotten a lot done on a bunch of different minis, started a lot of projects. The ones that are furthest along are these wolves. And to explain what I've done, I've started by working on the bases as usual, and then I've done a base coat which is wet blended. So I've used that to set up a transition from dark to light, And as you can see, it's really rough. It's not at all exact. And but this will be refined by using washes and dry brushing to add even more shade and highlight. And you can see that on half of them I've gone for, well, dark sort of brownish gray. And on half of them I've gone for somewhat lighter pure gray color. Well, more pure gray. And the difference here is between this and how I did the dogs. The dogs I just base coated completely in a light color, and then I added all the darker tones through a series of washes. Here I've tried to set up the transition right away with the wet blended base coat, so to sort of help me. Well, it's a different process. It can sometimes be faster to do it this way. And honestly, which way I do it kind of depends on what I feel like for the moment. And to do it this way, I need to have a good idea from the start of which colors I want to use. The other way I did with the dogs was partially because I didn't actually have a clear idea about the final color, so I was just sort of experimenting and trying as I went, and doing successive washes is good for that. Well, these will probably, yeah, almost probably, certainly be done by next week, because like I said, I need to do a wash and some dry brushing, and then fix details like the mouths and eyes, and maybe some foliage to the bases, and then we'll be done. So let's see what else we have. Here we have some of my next models in line for painting. This gorilla and some spiders. It doesn't look much like a gorilla, you might say, but this is actually the white gorilla official Frostgrave mini. As you might see, I have primed these in a sort of two-tone way. First put on a gray primer and then sprayed some white spray paint from straight above to get a sort of example effect. Not sure if there's any point to that, but oh well. This model, as you saw, was a North Star official Frostgrave model. It's fairly well sculpted. The only main issue I had with it were the hands. There was a lot of metal sort of inside the palms of the hands and between the fingers that I had to clean off. And that was quite a lot of work. Now all these spiders are by Ramble miniatures. These two are exactly the same, and this one is somewhat smaller. So it's Mama and Papa spider and baby spider. I got some other giant spiders, but the Frostgrave book says they're furry spiders, the ice spiders. I'm going to paint these up as, and so these were the ones I had that had some sort of fur on them. And yeah, and it also says in the Frostgrave rulebook that they can be of various sizes, so that's why I've got, well, that's how I'm justifying the fact that these are different sizes. I didn't know that when I ordered them. The Reaper site doesn't specify exact measurements for the models or scales, so you can't really tell. But these were like 4 times the size of this one. Anyway, that's some of the stuff I'll be doing in the upcoming week. And by the way, I don't know why I had a brain fart and said Ramble. They're Reaper miniatures, nothing else. I suppose it's because Reaper have kind of taken over the role that Ramble used to have in the market when I was younger, as in the dominant, main producer of your standard fantasy miniatures. So I sometimes get them confused in my subconscious. Oh well. Let's move on to future Frostgrave projects. So here we see some of the official and semi-official Frostgrave minis I've collected. This is not all of them. It's the ones I consider to be the most immediately important to paint up in order to populate the monster random monster tables. They have pictures on the back of these guys, the boar and giant rats. We have the ice toad and snow leopard. And then we have this doesn't have any picture, it's not a Frostgrave marked mini, it's just North Star, it's a bear. It's a charging angry bear, sort of indeterminate type, sort of a angry fantasy bear. And I think I'm going to do the bear first, because I already have some other bears as well. We have these charging angry bears. So here's some. Oops. Here we have 3 rather large bears, which are European brown bears. Not that stable, but once I glue them to a base, it'll be better. Oh well. And we have some slightly smaller ones, which are American black bears. Again, this one is rearing up and it's not stable as such, but I can glue it to a base and it'll work, I think. And they've got a little cub. Oops. He isn't standing very well either. But anyway, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bears. That's going to be the next under project that I prep for Frostgrave. So how does this model belong in this section, you might wonder? She doesn't look all that Cthulhuoid. Well, it's because I want her to fight Cthulhu. It's because I want to use this model for Strange Aeons as a replacement for my main character. If you've seen my Strange Aeons battle reports, I'm sort of limiting myself to what you see is what you get. Because the main character is carrying a torch, I'm using a torch as a weapon. It's a sucky weapon. I want a sword instead. Anyway, so this is a sort of steampunky character from the Infamy range. The only real steampunk element here is some sort of device she has attached to her pistol, which I suppose you could justify as some sort of strange threshold tech in Strange Aeons. She's also rather well armed. She has both a shotgun and a rifle on her back, so I could justify equipping her in the game with any sorts of weapons, really. Now the model itself is nicely sculpted. The only things I'm not entirely happy about the arms. The way she's holding the saber, it seems a bit awkward. And the angles at which the arms attach are just slightly off. And believe me, I've tried a lot of different angles. You know, if you're just looking at it from above on a gaming table, you probably won't notice anything. You'll have to pick it up and scrutinize it very carefully to notice anything odd. But yeah, she has a lot of nice detail. And apart from, as I mentioned, the broken tip on the scabbard, yeah, hopefully I can do a good job painting her up. And here we can see the result of the, well, the simpler of the scenery projects I've done this week. This is the Battlefield in a Box stuff that I've simply touched up a little bit. I hope you can see the difference between how it looked originally and how it looks now. I dry brushed on some more highlights, especially edge highlights. I tried to do it a lot brighter because I want the contrast to be visible at a distance. And I also added the static grass. Now I should point out that I tried to match the amount of static grass that was on the cover picture of the box. And to do that, the little bags provided in the box were not quite sufficient. I had to supplement that. Thankfully, I already use Gale Force 9's static grass product, so I had the exact same grass. It's their medium green, you know, most basic type of grass. So I have a tin of that already, and I could just add some more from my stash, so to speak. But if you don't have that, be aware that, yeah, you will not get this much coverage from just the grass provided in the box. But otherwise, a very nice product, easy to finish off, and I think it'll work well on the battlefield. So maybe at this point some of you are asking yourself, didn't he start out this video by saying he got a lot of work done this week? But apart from the Kingdom of Chaos guys, everything he's shown has been half done. What's up with that? Well, this is what's up. The Garden of Moor. I completed the entire Garden of Moor. And that is quite a lot of stuff, as you can tell. Now the lighting here is not great because it's all lamps, because this is in the evening I'm filming this, but I think you can see at least some of the detail. And I'll get some other angles as well. But this was a lot of work. Try to zoom in on some different parts of it. And I left this lid off. I left the buildings unattached so I could lift them off and look at the sarcophagi inside. And this one, yeah, same thing. I painted it all fairly dark with some bright spots. The statue is a bit brighter than the others, and I painted the roses mostly red. In the box artwork, they painted the roses a dark blue for some reason. I think that's a bad choice because it kind of disappears into the rest of it. I like the red roses and the green. Green vines, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but all the ironwork has been painted with a lot of rust effects. So now I have quite a lot of scenery to play with, and yeah, I'm really happy I got this done. So for my upcoming scenery projects, let's do some unboxings. Now what you're looking at here is a MicroArt Studios Chaos Tree, which I actually got with an order last week. Haven't opened it until now. Now the picture here on the box is not... I don't think it's very well painted. There is an image on the website that I bought it from, which has a much higher quality paint job. But anyway, let's see what's inside this huge box. It's kind of empty, actually. It's just this piece of resin, which is very nicely sculpted and molded. It's a tree with mouths and chains holding it down and whatnot. And I can probably make this look pretty cool. Yeah. So I actually ordered some more scenery that's I intend specifically for specific scenarios in Frostgrave, but it hasn't arrived yet. And I got impatient for something to paint, so I went to the store, and my local store only carries Games Workshop stuff. So I picked up this Ophidian Archway, which is from the new Age of Sigmar line. And I should note that this cost as much as, or perhaps even slightly more than, the whole Garden of Moor set. And it doesn't have as many sprues. It has a total of, I'd say about half the amount of plastic that was in the Garden of Moor. Well, I guess you buy newer stuff at a premium. Or rather, I guess that the old stuff is discounted because they've already made their money from it, and so they can sell it more cheaply. Now this is very impressively sculpted, of course. Tons of detail. It's one big sprue and two half sprues. And some pillars. But this is one big piece. So yeah, I'll be looking to at least assemble and prime this before next week, and we'll see what I can make of it, if I can understand these instructions. They seem simple enough. I think I can manage. Oh, and I almost forgot. I built this paper crafts piece of scenery. That's a ruined house with a second story, and a little ladder to climb up. There were a lot of other bits and pieces included. You could also make paper crafted furniture and boxes and whatever. I didn't feel like doing that because it's mostly just clutter. B, it's not going to be as solid. I can't use the foam board for that. It's just going to be very flimsy by comparison. And also, if, for example, this is an abandoned building that's been standing for a long, long time, there's not going to be any furniture left. It's all going to be taken out. So all I did was the ladder, because you need something to to give the miniatures a chance to climb up to the second story. Next up, I've already printed out the sheets for an even more complicated ruin. Something along the lines of this, but with more walls left standing and even more stories. So yeah, gotta keep challenging myself. These are, I mean, they're solid compared to making them just out of cardboard, but they're still not as heft. They don't have the heft of something of plastic or resin, but you know, it's pretty good considering the price and the amount of work you put into it. Yeah, so I'm catching up more and more. I'm in the triple digits now, at least, and I can probably abstain from buying more minis for quite a while longer. I need to buy a lot of other stuff for my money. For example, a new camera. I mean, you noticed some of those really grainy, zoomed-in close-ups before? I didn't notice that until I watched the footage back. But yeah, a real camcorder would be nice. But anyway, I think I'm going to close out with another brief unboxing of a role-playing game, Kickstarter. This time it actually is Flying Buffalo. I mistakenly said Flying Buffalo last week when it was actually Goodman Games. But this is the Kickstarter for Tunnels and Trolls Deluxe Edition. And we got a lot of minor swag, like a pencil, some special dice, a card deck, some sort of promotional poster, another promotional poster, a poster map of the Tunnels and Trolls troll world, a pack of character sheets, a solitaire adventure, the Buffalo Castle, and this. Now, this is kind of funny. This box, as far as I can tell, it's a replica of the very first edition box, which means some of the copy on the back isn't accurate anymore. The stuff here is not, the Castle Ward scenario is not included, for example. But that's because inside this box is actually the new edition of the game, and as you can see, it doesn't really fit. It's the wrong size. However, I can put all this other stuff in this box. Boom. There we go. Put it to one side. And here we have a hardcover book with new cover art, and it's kind of thick. Color cover. The inside is all black and white. And I'm not going to give you a review of this. I just want to... Oh, here's some color section. Ooh, nice. I hadn't noticed that. What is Tunnels and Trolls? It's the second fantasy role-playing game ever published. Possibly the third. Depends on if you count Empire of the Petal Throne. Which one came first? I'm not entirely sure. It was the first non-D&D mechanics, non-D&D mechanics based. The first one to actually think up some completely new mechanics. And some of these mechanics have yet to be copied by anybody else that I know of. Briefly, the thing that sets it apart from D&D and most other RPGs is that combat is handled at a very abstract level. Your combat stat is simply a number of dice and some bonuses, and you just roll all those dice. Say you have 3d6 plus 2 or something. You roll that. The enemy has a certain dice pool as well. They roll that. You compare the totals. Whoever has the most wins, and the difference is the damage you do to the losing side. Very simple, very abstract. Here's the thing that really confused me back in the day, is that group combat is handled exactly the same way. Namely, everybody on one side totals all their dice and adds into one big pool and rolls that. And then the other side rolls all their dice and adds it up into one total. You compare the sides, and the losing side gets to distribute the damage among its members as they please. So, in a way, this is a system where it's pointless to try to narrate what you're doing before the roll. The narration comes after the roll, when you're trying to explain how that result came about. And it's no worse than the normal sort of the normal, in air quotes, way of doing things in RPGs. It's just very different from the way most people are used to doing it, so it takes some time to wrap your head around. Well, yeah. So if you're interested in, and the thing is, they came up with this mechanic back in the 70s. So Ken St. Andre, or St. Andre, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, was a very innovative game designer. Well, possibly still is. He's still alive. But if you're interested in checking out something like that, and oh yeah, another thing that sets it apart is that it has a different sense of humor. All the magic spells have silly names, and they call the world Troll World. Here's for example some spell names. Creme de la creme, which I don't know what it does. Curse you, ding-a-ling, hidey-hole, alaka scram, boom bomb, cat eyes. You know, it's a different way of looking at the game. I don't know if they still have that. There was, in the original edition, one spell that had a name that probably wouldn't fly today. And yeah, they seem to have removed that, which is, yeah, probably all for the good. Spells like Zappa Thingam. Death spell number 9. Yeah. Check it out if you're interested in something different. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, but you know, if you wanted to see what people came up with before, you know, before the current standard was set, it's an interesting look. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. Time to wrap this up. It's been a really long video. So, I'm Aeon. See you next week. I'll sign off for now. Bye.